This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous group.
Hey! Welcome, Fandemonium Mafia, to the Sunday Sessions with Scott and Swank and special guest, Ryan Thomas. Ryan, I'm starting to think you're no longer a special guest. You're on the show pretty frequent now. You might as well just come and join us every Sunday, right?
A co-host.
I'm all about it. I mean, if the invitation's open, I will accept it. So as I have these last few weeks, it's nice to be back on as a recurring special guest, we'll say, on Sunday Sessions with Scott and Swank.
Well, I know Swank does that nice little image for this live stream, and all he has to do is add a picture and put little dots down to your name.
Yeah,
the only problem is
I might do it like it's got masking tape, like we just kind of slapped it on there. You know what I mean?
There you go.
that would be cool. I would like that. Yeah. That'd be
so
cool.
my question, you English majors out there, the reason it's Sunday Sessions with Scott and Swank is because of the 4 runs of S. What's the 4 runs of the same letter? What term is that used in the English?
I know,
language?
but I use it a lot in the song. So if you want me to spoil it, or we can have Ryan.
No, that's what I want to know.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah,
I thought this was like a quiz.
No.
Oh, okay. It's an alliteration.
Alliteration. Okay.
Yes. Sunday Sessions
Okay.
with Scott and Swank.
I thought
it started
alliteration
with
meant
an
you
A.
didn't. Yeah. So alliteration is you can't speak, read no good, and alliteration is with a run of letters.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Did I say
Sunday
the wrong
Sessions
one?
means means I like to open my first beer of the day. It starts with a session ale, all day IPA. There you go. And while I'm pouring this, my name is Scott from 24/7 Buf Fandemonium. You can find me at 24/7BF on my Twitter. Swank, tell the peeps about you.
My name is Swank, and you can find me at Swank247BF on Twitter. Also, you can follow 24/7 Buf Fandemonium at 24/7 Buf Fandem1. How about you, Ryan Thomas?
You can find me, Ryan Thomas, on Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take. And you can also find me on Instagram. I've been posting on Instagram a lot, putting some live videos out there, kind of mingling with the people, the everyday man look, where I could be driving, running some errands. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hop on here, even if I'm in my Jeep. You know, I'm waiting for an appointment to start. I got about 20 minutes to kill. Why not hop on and throw a hot take out there on our Buffalo Bills? The Bills Mafia feeling like the season's over. Season's not over after last week. We still got a lot of football left.
Tons of football left.
I mean, I was going to dedicate like 5-10 minutes to talking to the Mafia, but I don't know. It's almost like we're out of the playoffs. It's almost like we're not even in the numbers anymore. Like we don't have a chance to even have a wild card spot with the way that some of these pages, some of these fans are talking. I just put out a post yesterday, because we like to put out fun posts at 24/7 Buf Fandemonium saying bold prediction. We like a prediction based on a player, coach. What do you think is going to happen during the game? Maybe even a score prediction. And I'm not lying. 20% of the fans are saying Bills lose.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. And I agree with this whole, yes, fans are allowed to be frustrated. They're allowed to express their frustration. They're allowed to be mad, right? But there's a difference between that and saying Josh Allen sucks. We need a new coach. Season's over with. No playoff chance. Even if we make the playoffs, we're going to get crushed. All that stuff. And then you go ahead and say that your team's going to lose. If we're 0-16 playing a 17-0 team, I'm always saying we got this. You know what I mean? So how are you guys feeling about just that in general? I mean, there's a lot out there, a lot more than I'd like to admit to, but it's happened. After that Patriot game last week with that kind of weather and that kind of game, I can understand why people can be down, but it just seems to be taking over. What's up with that?
I'll go first here if you don't mind, but like,
sure.
I think that there's this like false elite sense to some of the members of the Mafia where like all of a sudden they think now that we've been there, like that's just the way it's always going to be, and it's like they have amnesia of the previous 17 years before Josh Allen was even in existence on this team. And I think it's kind of like that, the buzzy word thing, like the humble and hungry thing, like whatever. You kind of got to be that way as a fan too, and take the good with the bad. Like we're not the hunters anymore, we're the hunted, right? So you're gonna have some of these games. I saw this great like meme, and it was a picture of JP Lossman sitting on the bench, like looking disappointed, and it said, "Never forget." And it's like that's right. The way I feel, man. Like if we were like in like we right now, if the season ended, we have a wild card spot. We're in control of our destiny. We have a couple like tough games and a couple like kind of easier games. I think everybody shook because of that Jaguar game. But if we take care of business, that's it. That's all she wrote. Like we control that right now, So I'm not all like, flames and brimstone on this thing. Like I think like we're in a good spot right now. If I was like the Jaguars, I would be like, dang it, we'll see you next year, or whatever. But it's not that bad right now. And I think because it had been that bad for so long, people need to like pump the brakes just a little bit. Like be upset, but remember where you were at, not too long ago.
And it wasn't very long ago.
Yeah.
What's your take on it, Ryan?
My take on it is this. Like, I understand the frustration after that New England Patriots game. It was a very frustrating game. I also, reacted quickly on my social media to Sean McDermott's comments after the game saying, let's not give Belichick too much credit. When he first said that and I first heard, that press conference, I thought, I don't know if that's the right response. But the more I've thought about that game and as the dust has settled, really we lost that game. We had plenty of opportunities to win that game. We had them right where we wanted them on multiple occasions. That game was, one Damian Harris run away. And they did run the football 45 times. And yes, they were able to run it successfully, but there was a lot of stops in between there too by our defense that gave the offense the ball back. That game was, as I've said on this show and my show and many other shows, something is going on with this offense. We know that the run game has never been there. We know that the offensive line can't run block. It's almost as if the fans forgot that in the midst of this loss. They're so frustrated to lose over Bill Belichick or to Bill Belichick. So frustrated to be the backseat team to the Patriots again, that we're not really actually assessing what's going on with this team and why we're where we are. We're just frustrated with the loss. Mm-hmm. And we're one win away today from all that going away. If they take care of business today against Tampa Bay, if they beat the Tampa Bay Bucs in Tampa Bay, who have not lost at home, I believe, to my knowledge, this season yet. So I think this is an opportunity now, as I've said on the show, in weeks leading up to, beyond losses, I should say, that you have an opportunity after a loss to kind of get back to where you need to be as far as getting back to the basics. How they'll do that today is going to be very interesting. How they respond today is going to be very interesting. It's more about how the team responds rather than how the fans respond to the team. I love the Bills Mafia. I love the fans. I'm a fan, of course. We're fans here. But I think the fans feel as if they dictate how the team responds. Right. The teams dictate how the fans respond. Yeah. And I think we'll be responding in a very interesting way. I've watched these photo snippets of the Bills taking, taking up the steps of the plane, walking up the steps of the plane as they're about to go on a road trip. They're smiling usually. This is all business. This is an all business trip. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, the defending Super Bowl champs, Western New York native Rob Gronkowski. We're going to be showing up for this game, I feel. I feel a different vibe about this team than what I've felt in weeks previous. I'm very excited for this game. I'm pumped up.
Well, Deion Dawkins did say that they have been a little chipper. They have been, laughing, smiling, joking at practice, but they had been a lot more serious at practice. Starting off with Emmanuel Sanders leading off the charge, getting the guys in the group, usually Josh Allen, and apparently he got them all hyped up. And condolences, by the way, to the Demaryius Thomas family. Yeah. Tough loss this week for the NFL and the NFL family and his family, obviously, and friends. I know Emmanuel Sanders was a close friend of his, so he took a day off yesterday. But damn well if he plays today, he'll be playing with a little chip on his shoulder. Ryan, I'm glad you brought up the record. One win away from changing it all. Right now, the top of the AFC is 9-4. We're 7-5, which means if we win today, we're one game behind being the top seed.
Yeah,
right.
For the Mafia members that are upset, the Bills lost 5 games. The best team in the NFL right now has only lost 3. Mm-hmm. That's a 2-game difference. So teams lose. And again, consider the types of losses we've had with Tennessee and the Patriots. And, those games could have gone either way. So it's a 7-5 or it's a 9-3 record right now in our hands. But Raymond James Stadium, it's going to be 82 degrees, sunny, totally different game than what we've seen the last couple of weeks with the Buffalo Bills. I know Tampa Bay is a 3.5 game, a 3.5 point spread on that one. And then the overall over-under is 53.5 points. That'll be interesting to see. It's either going to be a blowout or these two top defenses are going to show up. So it'll be interesting to see how far off that is Vegas-wise. So, again, welcome to Sunday Sessions, or as you call it that. And as I open my first beer, I'm having my first drink. Everyone else join along. The Bills are 7-5, as I said. Buccaneers are 9-3. There's a lot of playoff talk. There's a lot of games going on at 1 o'clock that we can watch, we can pay attention to see where the Bills where they're standing when it comes to their game at 4:25. Our Bills started 4-1. We're obviously 3-4, losing back and forth. And the telltale that this is a game we should win, because if we're going every other, I just jinxed this, right, Swank?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Every other game, this would be the game we should win. Josh Allen has not beat Tom Brady yet, right? He's 0-3 against Tom Brady. Even Coach McDermott is 0-6 against Tom Brady. It'll be interesting to see what kind of team McDermott is bringing to Raymond James. And strategy-wise, who knows? Will Star Lotulelei out? And I know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is hardcore pass. They're number 1 passing team in the league. Is this a game where Arians knows that Bills have struggled against the run as far as letting up the big play? And is Fournette, do you think, going to get a heavy dose of it? Do you think they're going to go that way?
Ryan's shaking his head yes, and I'm shaking my head no. You like that?
Well, I'm good, because
that's like the variety you get from Sunday Sessions with Scott and Swank. I don't think so, man. You know what I think? I think Tom Brady is going to eyeball down Dane Jackson all afternoon, and he's going to try and light him up.
He's done that in the past.
So we can sidebar this and talk a little bit too. As far as Star is concerned, I was hardcore advocate for Star coming back and changing the look of this front line, and I think in some respects he did. I think that he's pretty much cemented with being out this game. that they are not going to return him next year. He's too accident prone. He's too sick. He's too missing game. Like I think it's not worth the money anymore. And I've never said this on either of these shows. Like I've always been like a star proponent, but I think he's too much of a liability now, and they've learned how to play around him. So I expect Eddie Oliver to have a huge game today, and maybe see like one of the positives being that they've had to adapt without him so much this season and all of last season, to where hopefully they have a solid game plan and maybe they can make Brady uncomfortable. Because I really think Leonard Fournette, I hope Arians tries to run Fournette all day. Like I really do. That would be like the best thing for us ever, especially with like these nice weather patterns down there in Tampa, and their secondary not being quite as good as some of the others that we faced. Josh Allen might actually be able to play his game if a certain somebody up in the booth doesn't screw it all up. And I'll back away from that. Go ahead, Ryan.
Wow, I was you kind of picked up where I was gonna pick up on.
Are you talking about Teddy Marshall-Broda? Are you talking about Teddy Marshall-Broda?
Yeah.
Oh man. So how I see this game going down, there is a fun fact of this game that I was grinning ear to ear over yesterday. And it was news that the Bills have activated John Feliciano.
Yes.
I'm very thankful that John Feliciano is in this lineup, on that line, because they have struggled without him. And they're starting to struggle now, not just in terms of run blocking, but they're starting to struggle now in terms of pass blocking. And there are a few front sevens in the National Football League better than Tampa Bay. That is why they won the Super Bowl against Kansas City. Not Tom Brady, not Rob Gronkowski. That was why they won. They were able to pressure Pat Mahomes. They were able to turn an athletic quarterback into a sitting duck. And that's what I'm worried about in this game with Tampa Bay. But the fact that we do have Feliciano back, the fact that this is an 82-degree weather game in Tampa Bay, I think this will be a Brady versus Allen shootout potentially in this game. And I do anticipate early Bruce Arians is going to try to attack the obvious. And I hope that the Bills have spent all week long making those adjustments in terms of stopping the run game, because frankly, it's borderline disrespect is what we've seen from like the national media in terms of the Buffalo Bills being little brothered by Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry and these running backs, which, I can't really disagree with it. We have been little brothered on that side of our defense. Our run defense has been very weak. And Tremaine Edmonds, who I was going off on, last week in the show, of somebody that I just feel like he's had a little bit of regression, and especially after that New England Patriots game, a lot of regression, after that one. So that's something that I'm hoping is shored up. But all in all, I do anticipate this being a Josh Allen, Tom Brady show of one of the more exciting games of the week this year. This week, this is a game of the week. It's a great matchup. It's a fun matchup, and I anticipate it being a shootout today.
And if you watched the show last week, the K-Gun Report, we had Mark Maddox on as a special guest, and he was talking about Tremaine Edmonds. And some would say, on a lot of the plays, I rewatched the game, he did over pursue. It's like he's taking a back step. And it's one of those things that if we see it, he should be able to see it in the game film. The defensive coordinator should be able to see it. He's fast. He can cover sideline to sideline. He doesn't need to put the pedal to the metal right when he knows that there's a sweep going to the other side, because you'll have what happened last week is the running back will cut it back up the lane and go 90 yards down the field. Yeah. So Tremaine Edmonds, he's aggressive. I love it, but he definitely does need to cut it back a little bit, slow it down a little bit. You have your sidekick Milano right there, man. And if he's getting the okay to shoot some of these gaps like he did last week, it'll be a different defense. Maybe they're being held back a little bit. I don't know. And then McDermott allowed him to release the Hounds. I'm not sure. But the Bills will face a top defensive run team, right? And I just saw a stat yesterday. The Bills only run the ball average 18 times a game, which is third fewest in the NFL. So not only, Swank, to your point with Mr. Dable up there in the booth, not only is he not running the ball, but he's also running the ball inappropriately with the wrong running backs. You know what I mean? We've talked about this before. Why is
The
Singletary
wrong
doing
running
dive?
plays too.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
Singletary do dive inside the guards? Why is he doing that? He's not big enough. You know what I mean? And without Feliciano there, that offense is missing a spark. So I don't think this is a game where we push the running game because we are playing the top defensive front seven. One of them, Barrett, White, David, Pierre, Paul as linebackers, and that Vita Va as a nose guard. He's disruptive, and Morse is going to have a problem with him. So I say air it out. This isn't the game where we're going to try to run the ball. I just say air it out this week against a depleted secondary. But we'll see what Dable said, what his game plan is. I hope that he's on our side with this and he just picks the plays that work.
Yeah, that's perfect because it feels like he hasn't been on our side, like, or the offensive side. Cute, man. We use that word to describe him way too much. He gets too cute. I say, okay, the Bills don't have a run game, right? They're not the best run team. If you would have threw it more times last week and into the wind, I think I'd love to see the stats. I'm sorry I haven't dug that far into it. It seemed like Josh, his completion percentage was better into the wind than it was with the wind. And once you let them cut loose and start doing it, they were moving the ball. You know, I know that they stalled out in the red zone like they have been. But a lot of those are kind of those plays that we were talking about too, where it's like you get a little momentum, you get 5 yards, you do this, you do that, and then you dump it off the motor for 2, up the gut, like you know, and it's so predictable. I finally have seen this week that Dable has gotten a little bit of the blame for this, and I think that is the first time I've seen that since he's been in Buffalo. Like, there's a lot of people like defending him for whatever reason and saying like, well, you can't have the caliber quarterback and offense that you've had last year and develop Josh Allen the way he has without Brian Dable being part of that story. I think that Adam Gase would be proof that that's not true. You know, it can be a little bit of the individual. And I think last year they kind of started letting Josh play his game and play to his strengths. And then holy shit, you had like a really explosive passing offense. But you did nothing to try to secure more of the running game to balance it out in the offseason. So, regardless, Dable just needs to open it up and let him play his game. I mean, this is one of those center stage kind of things, like old guard meets new guard. You know, they're trying to say Mahomes is that guy, and I have this sneaky suspicion, right? Kansas City was like the big threat, right? The Bills went in, they took care of business in Kansas City. They had their number. That game was circled on the calendar. I think this game was also circled on the calendar. So I think that they're going to go in with that same kind of thing. And maybe if all they did was game plan for those 2 games, you know, for the whole season, because it kind of seems like with Kansas City at least that's what they did, right? And then they've just kind of gotten by on the rest of them. I would love to see just like a dominant performance, just to instill like that faith that like, okay, it's in there. They're just doing too much, or they're not doing enough, you know. And the too much, I'd credit to the coordinators, you know.
Right.
So.
Well, with their dominance, they've dominated teams. They've scored 40+ points. They beat a tough Chiefs team. And you know what comes with that is something that McDermott said in practice, that they're focusing and stressing on execution. Just like any of the games that they've lost, if they decrease the penalties, decrease the mistakes, the turnovers, and increase your red zone scoring, that's the secret formula. Yeah. That's the secret formula. I have them winning this game due to the fact that they're winning the turnover battle. But going back to Dable, I think I go back because I want to say something with the passing game. I think they should air it out, and I hope that he's listening. But I don't want him to get away from the run in the sense that when it's 3rd and inches, just run the ball up the gut. That's when you do one of those dive plays, especially with Feliciano back. Don't abandon the run completely, but use it appropriately.
But you get to the line, you change the tempo, you snap it, and you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's a pace, there's I never thought, if you watched their whole season last season, that I would ever say like it's not lazy, but it's like there's like this sense of like just
Lack of urgency.
yeah, man. It doesn't, when you're getting to the line, when you change it, there's no change of pace hardly ever, and you get rolling, and then all of a sudden you go to the shit that you want to make work, but it's not working. So you just try to ram it down their throat to assert your dominance, but you look like a chump because they stop it, And that's what last week's story was. Like, the whole thing is like, Josh starts airing it out, they get down there, blah, 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 and then, like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, I don't get this guy. I just don't get, like, why not do what worked, because they're expecting it. I don't care if they're expecting it or not. We talk about that all the time on this show too, man. Like, if they're expecting it and they can't stop it, who cares? You don't have to open up your playbook anymore. You keep doing it until it stops. But yet you're like fine with running motor up the gut when you have Moss active. Like, the dude can fall forward if he's not trying to juke in the backfield. If he just goes up the gut, he can fall and get you 3 yards. Like, but instead you dump it to Moss to try, or to Motor to try and be like, we're a running team, damn it. He's gonna break one of them. Just wait. Like, I got news for you, dude. He's not. So, God.
Going back to the, I want to say it was the beginning of the season, right before week 1 against Pittsburgh. Josh Allen was asked a question about his development and, the chemistry that he has with Diggs and the chemistry that he, has within Dable's offense, coming back to Dable's offense once again. And I'm paraphrasing here. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but Allen said something to the tune of, if there is a play now that I don't feel comfortable with, I feel comfortable enough audibling out of that play and choosing the next play. That's a phase of his career that he feels, pretty comfortable within that phase of his career. And I thought, wow, that's something that is good to hear from a progression standpoint. I haven't seen it, and now I'm at that point where I've criticized Dable for years. I feel like for a while I was maybe one of the only people that was willing to criticize him, and especially even during last year, where Bills fans were so excited to see this air it out offense, and we were so successful. We were putting up passing numbers that were gaudy numbers, but our run game last year, all of last season, was one of, if not the worst in the National Football League. And I think partially we segue to McBean here. They didn't do much to change it. They added a couple pieces on the line that were mid-round picks. They brought back the same guys in Singletary and Moss. They did add Matt Breida, but obviously it wasn't good enough. Yeah. And now we're starting to see, I think I can kind of, I don't want to say I'm putting blame on Allen for this, but I think at this point in the season, 7-5, backs are against the wall a little bit in terms of how the fans reacted to that loss against New England and what they got to do today to take care of business. In this game, I want to see Josh Allen take full, complete ownership of the offense. I want to see Josh Allen do his best Peyton Manning impersonation, making adjustments at the line, checking out of plays, flipping plays. He was flipping plays late in the game last week, but by the time he decided to actually make these changes, that's when the Bills were actually successful throwing the football.
Yeah.
And you go back and watch it. Flip, check. Emmanuel Sanders in motion. Stephon Diggs in motion. Stephon Diggs in the slot, moving him around, which Dable never seems to do.
Why would you do that?
He should be on the edge, just going deep all the time.
He should
just plant him on the left sideline of the field and just have him go straight. No, but I mean, obviously we're being sarcastic here, but at the same time, it just, I want to see Allen take full ownership of this offense, because obviously I don't think Brian Dable can be trusted. And I have a lot of people that I've talked to, like, that write about the Bears and stuff. Oh, Leslie Frazier could be the next Bears head coach. If he's, if the Bears fire Matt Nagy, Leslie Frazier could be gone. Remember when Brian Dable was, quote unquote, the hot candidate for a head coaching job? Yeah. Not so much anymore, because this Bills offense has mightily regressed, when on paper I thought they'd be even better than they were last year, bringing in Emmanuel Sanders. Where is Gabe Davis? Why is he not getting a decent target share in this offense? Dawson Knox, he had a couple key drops last week, but tight end screen. They ran the first one all season long against the Saints, and he scored a touchdown off of it. So why is that not incorporated in the offense? There's just a lot of mismanagement and missed opportunities in how he calls a game, and we're seeing it on prime time. We're seeing it against the Patriots. We're seeing it in the game of the week. Hopefully not. Hopefully we won't be seeing it in the game of the week against the Tampa Bay Bucs today, but at 4 Eastern time. But I think I know what to expect out of Dable. Now I'm wanting Allen to take that full ownership of the offense.
Let's ride that then. That then, because from what you said, I take 2 points out of it, and I think they're pretty wonderful points. Listen, Allen was making adjustments late in the game last week, and he was effective against a Belichick coached defense.
Yes.
So that's not a weak defense you're playing. No. So he was making adjustments, making correct reads, and being effective against that defense. My second point, Allen, if you just take your headphones, listen to the play, give the big old middle finger up to Dable and call your own play, they're not going to bench you.
No.
They're not going to bench you.
Well, as long as he's productive, and
I think
yes, they're not going to bench him, period. But if he does that and then throws 4 or 5 picks in a game and they don't do anything, then it's counterproductive. I want to see this. I feel like we haven't seen Josh Allen yet. We haven't seen all of his potential.
Wouldn't you shit if he did this against Brady?
Oh my God, dude!
Calling your own goddamn offense and scoring and lighting them up.
Yeah, and if he did it against Tampa Bay's defense, which is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, I think Tampa Bay's defense has the potential to be the best in the NFL. I mean, it was in crunch time last year, but I mean, you rattled off the names, Scott. I mean, Levante David, Jason Pierre-Paul, Vita Vea. I mean, they're loaded in their front. That's the best part of their team.
Was the other defensive tackle.
Ndamukong Suh. I mean, they got a lot of Antoine Winfield Jr. I mean, at safety, he's been pretty solid this year as well.
And Sherman's back at corner.
I think you're not worried about the corners.
I'm not worried about Sherman.
Not with Diggs out there on him. No. I hope.
I have a question because Vea, he's questionable right now. And so is
true.
Pierre-Paul. But Pierre-Paul has a finger injury. I didn't know that he had a whole lot left to be in.
They're still trying to find the other ones there, Swank.
Oh man, they did put it into the Madden game one year, and then they took it out. Yeah, like they changed his hand. Wow. Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. But
nothing to talk about here.
But yeah, I think this is the game, man. This is the game where Josh Allen says, I'm a $258 million quarterback for a reason. Josh Allen, had he been allowed, to the point that Swank kind of touched on, had Josh Allen been allowed the whole game to do what he does best, we would have won on Monday night. I don't care what anyone says. By the time the game was over, that's when they started showing their offense. That's when they played the same type of offense that the Patriots. What team goes into a game and says, I'm going to play the exact same type of offense that my opponent plays, and we'll try that, which is the weaker part of our offense. The wind was howling, but Josh Allen played at Wyoming. Josh Allen was drafted by the Bills because he can throw in anything. And that's one of the things that frustrated me more than anything about that game is once they started to throw and it was successful, it was too late. Yeah. It was too late. Too little, too late.
What's wrong, Ryan, with doing his rookie season approach or his second year approach, where it was take a snap, go through your reads, if they're covered, move the pocket and run. I don't want to see Josh Allen run, but last week you could have done that with him, and he would have torched them for even more than he already did. And if somebody's open, great. And if they're not, they're not. And you get, 5-6 yards at a clip? And you just methodically march down like that. That way, they still have to play the run because it's Josh Allen, and they have to play the receivers because he could throw it. It's another, RPO, in himself, And
I think too he's actually evolved as a runner. Yeah. I think he's sliding more.
Yeah. I was going to say he's a lot safer now with sliding.
For a quarterback is spectacular. I thought there was that one running play against New England where he ran it and he got maybe 8 to 10 more yards than what he should have just because he cut one way and bent the other way. I mean, he's an athletic quarterback. He is a rare specimen at 6'5", 245 that most teams can't game plan for because there's nobody like him.
No.
And the creativity that Dable has at his disposal is just endless. And yet you don't see it week to week. It's mind blowing to me. But I hope Allen takes this game into his hands and says, this is my team. This is my town, my city, and my fan base. And if there's one person out there that was frustrated with how the fans reacted, it was Josh Allen. And I shouldn't say frustrated, but let down that he put he takes ownership of that. Yeah. I think from what I've gathered, he takes ownership of how they play and he's a true leader. He's a leader of the team. And I expect him to highly go into this game motivated and ready to take over.
Yeah.
For those fans out there that hate to see Josh Allen run, I used to be one of those. But after seeing him sliding a significant amount more, I know he's a safer runner and he's making the right decisions as far as running the ball. So I agree. If you have to tuck the ball and run, I'm not scared anymore other than something coming from behind because he is taking that slide pretty early and he's protecting himself. But man, oh man, guys, it's a tough matchup. Not only is Arians a bright coach, Brian Leftwich is a great offensive coordinator. We all know Brady's calling his own plays, but it would be nice.
But they get along pretty well, man. And you see them like conferencing over stuff.
They do.
Like unless Brian's just going over there being like, Mr. Brady, what would you like in your coffee at the second quarter?
Mr. Brady, keep it up. I want to be a head coach someday.
That's like a gay
It's
thing,
funny right? It's funny you say that too, because like in terms of his decision and going to Tampa Bay, the majority of the reason why he went to Tampa Bay was due to the fact that the coaches that were there had worked with Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck and Big Ben. Like he went into a situation that you already had a structure there. There was a coach by the name of Tom Moore that is working with the Buccaneers. He's 82 years old and he's been in the league for 50 plus years, worked with Peyton Manning his entire career. So this offense is exotic. It's fun to watch. And that's why I do see this being the best game of the week, because if you have the new guard in Josh Allen, who's the 6'5" athletic specimen that he is, versus Tom Brady, you're going to see a lot of high-flying action today. And I think these are, on paper, what they're capable of, the two best offenses in the league. So let it fly.
I was going to say, Vegas has 53.5 points. 53.5 points between the two teams. We've got Diggs, Beasley, Gabriel Davis, Knox, all them versus a depleted Buccaneers secondary. And obviously they have Mike Evans. They have Godwin. They have Gronkowski. And they pass the ball in the backfield quite a bit. Let's be honest. Tom Brady likes to dump the ball off quite a bit. And we don't have Trey White. So Dane Jackson, Taron Johnson, Levi Walls, you've got a busy day. Milano, you've got a busy day. And I think that 53 points will be in trouble by the third quarter for sure.
I got to say, what I want to see from our defense today is physicality. I want to see them popping guys at the line. I want every single receiver on the Bucs side of the ball to get popped as soon as the ball snapped. I want you to throw off the rhythm. I want you to throw off their route, because you have literally the best guy that's ever played the position throwing them the ball. So if you're disrupting timing, that's huge. If you're putting pressure on Tom Brady or any quarterback, but definitely Tom Brady, he's going to fold. He's not one of those guys that's going to be like, oh, maybe I can get out of this. He's just dropping. He doesn't want to get creamed. He doesn't want to get hurt. So if you're getting close to him, then there it is. And
Ed Oliver.
Time and time again for the last 21 years, 22 years, however fucking long this guy's played, if you get in his face and you put pressure on him, he has a bad day. Like, that's the way it is. So do it. Do it and pop these guys, man. I don't see that enough from our defense, and I wish we did. Trey was good enough; it didn't matter. But and Levi's played a hell of a game, like a season this year. Like, he's had a great season, probably the best season of his career. But I want to see him, especially like Dane Jackson, man. Like, trying to prove it. You don't know exactly what you got. If you got Mike Evans lined up against you, and he comes off the line, hit him right in his shoulder pads. Like what. You can. It's legal. 5 yards. Pop him, And if you throw him enough off his game, guess what? He's not getting the ball. And that's the best defense that you can possibly provide. So I'd love to see more of that. I'd love to see Milano getting right in Gronk's face, like, or like cutting in front of him and then getting sandwiched by him and Tremaine. You know, maybe a little extra elbow drop.
Just disturb the peace.
Yeah.
You know who I think is actually under the microscope today when Tom Brady's looking at how he's going to attack this defense. I think Poyer and Hyde, as far as their coverage ability, especially Hyde, I would say, covering Rob Gronkowski or kind of being assigned maybe to Gronkowski or Godwin. We know they don't have Antonio Brown out there, so I mean that's nice. I mean, I know a lot of people think that his better days are behind him, but he's still somebody to game plan for that won't be out there. Yep. So that's good for the Bills. But I think Micah Hyde too. I just in terms of, and I want to throw this out there. Not only was that game awful, but it was awful to see us, I think, be disrespected. I mentioned it by the national sports media. They're kind of throwing us out there as the little brother that can't. And Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer taking the questions that they took after that game, props to them, because the questions were not appealing questions to answer. They were gotcha questions. And I think Micah Hyde's going to come out today and just have a massive, I want to talk about one of the players that's going to have a massive chip on his shoulder. It's definitely Micah Hyde today, lining up on that Bucs offense. I think he's going to show up today.
I mean, if any of you guys follow that Jack Wagon on Twitter, he didn't let it go at that. He kept on through all week complaining about Hyde and Poyer and the way they reacted and defending himself and all that stuff. But when you have professionals out there,
unfollow at Jerry Sullivan.
Yeah. And Swank, when I did that,
his whole career.
When I did that, there's already a hashtag out there with that on there. So there's people that have already been
years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's just so disrespectful, and he's always negative. There's never a positive thing to say from a game. And I know they lost, and I know people are frustrated, but these guys put their bodies on the line. They put their health on the line. We're seeing players, have health problems beyond football. The late great Demaryius Thomas, there's reports coming out about some of the conditions that he was suffering from due to head trauma from football. You would expect better at this point in 2021 from the way the media has evolved and how they can provide coverage and content. But in certain aspects, it's stayed stagnant. It's devolved, and I actually really appreciate the way Hyde and Poyer responded to that, because I would have done the exact same thing.
And everybody will tell you, there's a way to ask those questions. As far as disrespectful, it was the way you came out after these guys just played a game. They shouldn't be embarrassed. That was a tough game. They're a field goal. They're a couple plays away from winning that game, and to give up one big play and the rest of the game end up how it was disrespectful, no matter how you look at it. And like I said, a lot of other people in the media will tell you there's different ways to ask the questions. If anything, you don't lead with that question. You don't lead. We're in a world now where people feel like they're entitled to ask anything they want because they can. They don't care if I hurt people's feelings. Well, it's not hurting people's feelings. It's just being disrespectful. These guys don't work 3 hours a freaking week on Sunday. They put more time in than you do in 2 weeks. So to say, are you embarrassed for the work you've done? Hell no. Yeah. Oh no, and you're right. They did handle it very professionally, and you're right. I think they'll both come out with a chip on their shoulder. And Swank, to your point, wouldn't you shit if our Buffalo Bills defense is everything we've hyped them up to be, everything that we've seen for these first 12 games, and they are the top 5 defense in the league. If they shut out Brady and this Buccaneers offense, that'd be a whole different story for all the mafia to talk about for this full week, for the doubters, for the 20% out there that are saying the season's over with.
Just to be clear, shutting them out means like holding them under 21. Is that what you're
shutting them out just means Brady throws for under 60% passing. He throws a couple interceptions.
Shutting it down. Right.
Yeah. Yep. This defense is good. This is a really good defense. And they potentially, yes, the Buccaneers have the top passing team in the league, but they also play Atlanta. You know what I mean? They
twice.
They haven't played a lot of tough teams, and the teams that they did beat, listen, you have to play the game, and I would love it. We might have to have a whole show on Tuesday about "I told you so," because the people that are jumping off that wagon,
I love it. I'd love it.
We're one game away from being the top of the league. You guys got to be on top of things.
That's what I'm saying. This is an opportunity that they should come into this game more motivated than they have all season long, because each week the narrative has changed with this team, and most of it is self-inflicted. I mean, for Pete's sake, they lost to Jacksonville. I can't even wrap my head around that to this day. They're not playing to their full potential. They're not showing who they are. Their record does not reflect. The record reflects who you are in that moment, but we could all agree that they are better than what they have shown. And this is the game to show that. And when you have local media and national media saying, oh, this team was so overhyped, so overrated. Guys, the Tampa Bay Bucs had a 7-5 record at this point in the season last year. They went on a torrid run, historic run, and won the Super Bowl. I'm not saying the Bills will do that, but never say never. The New York Giants stopped the 16 or 18-0 New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. Anything is possible. Yep. So I think the Bills Mafia definitely jumped the gun a little bit after this loss to the Patriots, and I hope the Bills prove that on the field against Tampa Bay today.
Guys, let me throw this out there real quick, just like before you jump in.
Yep.
Brady's 6-0 against McDermott, right? 5 touchdowns in those 6 games for Brady. 4 interceptions. 64% passing. He's thrown less than a touchdown in every one of those games, and he's almost throwing an interception a game. So McDermott has dialed in to Brady. It just, when he was playing for the Patriots, things happen the Patriots way. They have a stellar defense. So if the defense can still do what they do, and we hope Dable opens up the playbook and just maybe passes out and Allen does whatever he wants to do, I think we'll be okay. Go ahead, Swank.
Very well said, Scott. That was beautiful. That's all I wanted to know. Yeah, man. Not to keep turning over all these things, but there's people in the comments right now. Obviously, everybody feels differently about the Micah and the Jordan thing, right? And the Jerry Sullivan question. I tweeted out something right after that happened because, again, if you know me, if you know the show, after a loss, man, I just can't. I can't do Twitter. I can't do all that stuff. I gotta get away from it. And some of that is because, the fan base is emotional. It's been through a lot through all these years, and people are, some people are knee jerk. When we win a game, we're going to the Super Bowl, right? Every year, and when we lose a game, it's the end. So there's these highs and lows that go along with it. I'd say hopefully. I'd like to think most of the people in the Mafia are pretty even keeled and take everything with a grain of salt. Know it's a week to week league, all that stuff. I want to say about the Micah and Jordan thing. They're people, man. They answered those questions like people, and people like Jerry Sullivan is looking for a bleed line. He asked that same exact question to McDermott. He was hoping for the response that he got so that he could have a whole week long of tweets afterwards being like, oh, well, they just can't take it and blah, blah. Nobody's saying that, maybe there should be some embarrassment there. There already is. You already know the work ethic of these guys. If you follow the team, those 2 guys aren't the guys that you should be being are you embarrassed to, right? You might be able to sort down through the list of players and find a couple guys that hey, man, do you feel embarrassed by the way you play? Maybe you could ask that. Really, you could have got exactly what you wanted from them by just being how did this game make you feel? You could say that,
They may come out and say we're embarrassed. There you go.
Yeah, and asking that question as a journalist to a coach and then asking that question to a player are 2 very different things.
Absolutely.
A coach is always going to answer that question.
Yeah.
With his proper or her proper answer. They will say, we're always embarrassed to lose. We don't want to lose. We hate losing. That's paraphrasing there, but that's what McDermott said. Yeah. But asking a player that puts on pads, puts on a uniform, makes contact with their body on another body for the sake of 73,000, fans' entertainment.
Yeah.
There is a complete difference in that. Mm-hmm. It's like asking a trainer that trains a fighter, are you embarrassed by your fighter's performance, And then the fighter being asked the same question, are you embarrassed by how you fought? No, I went in there. I gave it my best. Yeah. It didn't work out. We did what we could do. The game got away from us and we lost. The game is won or lost, or in some cases, if we're talking about the Steelers and Lions in 2021, there's a rare tie. But we knew that this game wasn't going to be easy. The fans knew that this game wasn't going to be easy, and it wasn't easy. Yeah. So they went out there, they played a hard game, and they didn't win. It's a part of sport. And for a journalist to ask that question, they ask that question because they don't experience that.
Yeah.
They don't experience the competitive drive that it takes to show up to win or lose. And I think Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer will remember it and carry it to the field. And that's what they meant by that. It's not, we're not going to answer Jerry Sullivan's questions anymore. I'm sure they'd love to not answer Jerry Sullivan's questions anymore, but they still will when he's in there asking those questions. But they're going to go out there today and do what they did last week. Give it their best shot, win or lose, say, hey, we tried. And that's what it is to be a competitor.
Right. Yeah. And let's not forget, the Bills aren't the reason why the Patriots are 9-4. They're the top of the AFC right now because they've beat every other team except for 4 teams. So we can't be all one was Buffalo. Yeah, great points, guys. Great points. So we traveled to Raymond James, 82 degrees, sunny, totally different atmosphere than what we've seen. Time to air it out. Let's have a Dig show, Beasley show, Davis show, Knox show. Let's just forget about the run game and let's just go down and score a lot of points against Tom Brady. Let's go final thoughts. And with the final thoughts, guys, go ahead and tell people where we can find you.
Sure.
I'll take this one.
Ryan, go ahead.
All right. Yeah.
Do it.
All right. So, where you can find me? Final thoughts. I'll give the where you can find me, and then my final thoughts. Where you can find me at Ryan Thomas Take on Twitter. My podcast is the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. It's available on all podcasting platforms, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Check it out. I give my weekly game-by-game reactions pre and post. Game previews, post-game reactions. I'll be doing my game preview show probably within the next couple hours here, talking about the game as we have here with some of the same tidbits, but some different tidbits too to give the people something to watch, something different, shaking it up a little bit. And my show, I have a lot of stuff on the show, whether it's just NFL football, Bills football, MMA. There was a big event last night that saw one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. Juliana Pena, she knocked out or submitted Amanda Nunes, and it was a plus 600 underdog that did her thing and won the title. So I'll be talking about that later today. So enjoy the show. I enjoy interaction too. You guys can follow it live and comment, and I'll look forward to chatting with you. Final thoughts: the Bills are going to win today. I think they're going to win. I think this is going to be a 34-31 classic game. This is going to be one that's going to be replayed on NFL Network when the season's over and we're looking to watch some football. We're going to be watching this one. So I think Josh Allen's going to take over today. I think these guys, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, are going to play with a major chip on their shoulder. And I think Dawson Knox might do a Rob Gronkowski light impression today or impersonation. So that's my final thoughts.
A Knox Gronk spike in the end zone in Tampa Bay would just make my whole season, dude. Oh,
it would. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
So yeah, you can follow me at 24/7 or Swank at Swank 24/7 BF on the tweets, and at 24/7 Buf Fandemonium 1 on Instagram and Twitter, and we on Facebook and all that stuff. Also, don't forget to catch the K-Gun on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. We do that every Tuesday night with Scott and myself and Jared, and maybe some special guests here and there, maybe some ex-Bills players, maybe some super fans, maybe some cool podcasters just like our boy Ryan down here. You know, just a lot of stuff happens over there. And, of course, Sunday sessions every Sunday with the three of us at 11:30 a.m. before your game day game.
There's your invite, Ryan. You're on the show from now on.
Yeah,
let's go. It's all downhill. No, I mean uphill from here.
So I already worked out that masking tape shit in my head. It's going right on. So my final thought is this. I think you're going to see an aggressive defense. Like I said, I think you're going to see a lot of action at the line defensively. I think you're going to see a lot of pressure on Brady. I think you're going to see as dominant of a performance as they can possibly muster. And as far as the other side of the ball, you're going to see a lot of airing it out. And I think and I hope, and dare I say, maybe I even pray, that Brian Daboll, who we've been asking a little bit of for this whole season, maybe if he is being cute, if he is holding back, if he's waiting for that playoff push, if he's really looking to just throw the whole book at everybody, maybe he does that today. And maybe if he's not, Josh just takes it over.
Rips it out of his hands.
I want a new narrative today. I know that's live stream podcast, Bermuda Triangle. You use the word narrative and then everything goes to shit. But literally, I want there to be a different story. Either Josh owns it or Daboll shows up, and from here on out for the rest of the season. That's what I want. Don't get down on the Bills. Cheer as hard as you can. It's going to be a hell of a game.
There you go. You got a score for us, Swank?
I can't remember what my score was. I know I had
Doesn't
Bills.
matter. We're 5 days closer.
We do update scores. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to say 72 to – no.
72?
I'm thinking it's going to be in the 30s. We'll go 35-27. How about that?
All right. Very good. I'm going 42-35.
Ooh, wow.
Yes.
That's a shootout right there.
My final thought, guys, we're one game out of the top. And then in 2 weeks, we do meet up with the Patriots again, potentially for the Beast of the East, AFC East Championship game. Not AFC East. Yeah, the AFC, top of the AFC East. It's in our grasps. We just need to win this week. My final thought, it's to the players. I think you said aggressive defense, Swank. I actually think we're going to see aggressiveness on all three phases of the game. 4 phases I'm going to go. I think we're going to see some play calls. I think we're going to see McDermott go for a couple fourth downs that he normally wouldn't do. I think they're just coming out for blood this week. It's not only Brady and the Buccaneers and the ex-Super Bowl champions, but it's a week where you need to win to move yourself up in that seeding for the playoffs. So pass the ball, air it out. My score will reflect that. Daboll, call some run plays, but make them effective. I think we're going to see a lot of different things this week. What's that?
Jet sweep.
Yeah, jet sweep if Isaiah McKenzie comes back. But guys,
I think too. Final. I just had an awesome idea. Mm-hmm. I'm getting a new merch line out pretty soon for my show. I'm gonna sell "Shut Up Jerry" T-shirts. Yeah. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Shut up Jerry T-shirts with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde walking away from the desk.
I'm an XL. I want one.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. But it's just, I think this is going to be a great game. I really do for us. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. I wish it was 1 o'clock. I wish it's a 1 o'clock game, I should say.
In practice and getting on the plane, they look all business. They better show up all business. And that's why I think all 4 phases of the game are going to be aggressive. It's going to be foot on the gas. We're going to score touchdowns. The defense might, hey guys, we got one of the top defenses in the league. It may be a blowout. Very well could be. But let's play our game. Let's just have more points than they do at the end of the game for that win. You can find me at Scott247BF on my tweet, and Swank gave you the other handles. Guys, good show. We got a couple hours before our game starts. There's a couple 1 o'clock games at Who to Root For. If you check up on our page, we'll be there. But yeah, we potentially could be out of the playoffs this week, or we could potentially move all the way up to 5th. Obviously, with the Patriots holding our number 1 spot in the AFC East. So, guys, be safe. It's windy out there. Grab your first drink. I already had mine. Cheer on your Buffalo Bills. Doesn't matter win, lose, or draw. They're your Buffalo Bills. Cheer them on.
Yes. Agreed. Silence the haters. Take care of business in Tampa Bay. And let's get that first win for Josh Allen against Tom Brady and show who the next real deal quarterback is in this league.
There you go. Love it. Yeah. All right. Ryan, as always, thanks for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you guys every Sunday at 11:30 on Sunday sessions with Swank or Scott and Swank.
We can switch it. That's all right. Swank and Scott. That's fine.
Swank Scott, Ryan Scott. There's
Ryan Thomas featuring
Ryan
Scott.
Thomas. Scott Swank. All right, guys. Love it. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
This is a dangerous group